What's going on, guys? JPS back for another video. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about some of the biggest cultural shocks I got from visiting the Netherlands for the first time this past summer. If you haven't already, make sure you go watch my Netherlands vlogs. Those are going to be some of the most recent videos on my channel at this point. I had an amazing time visiting this small, beautiful country. And that's actually the first cultural shock that I want to start out with, is the size of this country, bro. You can travel from the opposite end of the Netherlands to the opposite end, north to south, and it will take longer to travel through a state in the United States, just a singular state, and possibly double or even triple the time if we're talking about one of our bigger states. So that is just such a big shock. The fact that I can go Amsterdam to Utrecht and I'm there like 35 minutes on the train. The fact that I'm going Amsterdam to Haarlem and I'm there 10 minutes on the train. That just blows my mind. And it's not like I'm just visiting, a neighboring city. Like, these are completely different places. If you compare Amsterdam and Haarlem, it's literally a night and day difference. And that's from someone visiting Netherlands for the first time. So the differences would be even more apparent if I had spent more time there. This proximity between cities is super nice and convenient, and it makes it very easy to travel. And also, when you're traveling, use the public transportation, which is going to be my next point, the public transportation in the Netherlands. Guys, I was more than impressed with the public transportation. I thought that the no contact payment, you literally just tap your card when you're going in and tap your card when you're going out. You can definitely buy a train ticket or some type of pass, and that works just fine. But that convenience, coming off the flight, and I don't have to think about how I'm going to get on the train. I literally just tap it. So much easier than using the metro system here in Washington, D.C. It's a complete pain. You have to go on this outdated system to try and purchase a ticket. There's no tap and pay like that. It's not that simple. So everything was very new. Like, all of the technology and things, everything felt very developed, up to date, well taken care of. I don't think a single train was late. And if it was never worth noticing or really mentioning. Like, everything was very punctual, not just with the trains, but just how Dutch society moves, of course. And that's something I really appreciated, because I'm someone who always likes to be on time and get to where I want to be. So it was very easy to do that when I was traveling throughout the Netherlands. Of course, when you didn't have public transportation, the best way to get around most cities was just to walk. It was literally faster to walk, maybe from one point of a city to another, and a pretty significant walk too. Like, we're talking 15 to 20 minutes. Than it was to take a car, because the society in Netherlands is meant for walking. It's meant for biking. It's not meant for cars, really. I mean, there's cars, of course, and I'm not saying that you can't have a car there, but it's really not necessary. Like, if I lived in the Netherlands, I don't know if I would need a car at all. Like, I don't even know if it would be a consideration, because there's just, the public transportation infrastructure is so well planned out, and it's just so extensive throughout the country. You can really get anywhere on a bike for sure. And then also, walking is not too bad. And of course, the trains, the trams, the boats, there's just a million ways to get around. Another thing I really enjoyed about my Dutch experience was the cafe culture. Before this trip, I was not a coffee person. It gets me too hyper anxious. I'm always jittering around, but on this trip, I gave it a try, because I was like, where am I going to use the bathroom? And cafe is a great place to plop down for, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever the case is. Take a little break from the day, use the bathroom, get some water, all those things. It's really an all-in-one. And I had never really understood the cafe culture. I never understood why chairs lined the street and people just sat there with their little cups and watching life as it goes on. But now that I've done it a few times and gone to a bunch of different cafes in the Netherlands, I really love it. And cafes are not the same here in the United States at all. I really appreciated just taking a nice little break from the day. It's a great place to socialize, have a conversation with someone, and also to get a cup of coffee. I did like the coffee. I was getting lots of shots of espresso. But I think the coffee culture and cafe culture in the United States is quite different. We're much more of a to-go based culture. So it's like, you run into Starbucks or you run into Dunkin' Donuts. And of course, these are chains that I'm mentioning. A lot of the cafes that I went to in the Netherlands were local businesses, which I appreciated a ton, because why the hell do I want to support Starbucks? Like, let me just get and also a lot of the coffees in the United States are really just sugar. Like mocha, frappuccino, cappuccino, latte. Like, bro, that has 40 grams of sugar in it. It's literally just a bunch of syrup drizzled on some whipped cream on top of a high fructose corn syrup mixed with water inside of like a 2-cent plastic cup. And that's $6. Quality, right? Huge difference. Cafe culture in the Netherlands, I loved it. I'm somewhat of a tall person, at least I thought I was. I say I'm 6'2", I'm close, I'm on the fringe of that. But in the Netherlands, I was average at best. Like, they're just absolute monsters. And I mean that in the nicest way possible. I'm not saying monsters like that, but people are really tall, like ridiculously tall. Like, I'll see someone riding a bike and they're just towering over people, even seated. So not, of course your legs are extended on a bike, so that was kind of dumb to say, but like people are really tall. It's just, I hear that before I travel there, but actually being there and seeing how big some of these people are, crazy. The next thing we're going to get into is communication and directness. And this is something I thought I was going to struggle with when visiting the Netherlands. I thought I was going to get offended. I thought that, I wouldn't be able to understand, or there would be some type of miscommunication or whatever. But the truth is, this ended up being something I really enjoyed about the Dutch, is that you don't have to guess what they're thinking or what they want. They'll just tell you. And that's something I really appreciate, because in the United States, things are not that way at all. People will oftentimes say something and that's not what they mean. You have to kind of read between the lines and infer what their true intentions are, because people aren't direct here and they tend to beat around the bush, which is something I don't like about the United States, and that's just how it is over here. But I really appreciated the Dutch directness and the fact that people don't feel the need to do that. They can just say what they think and you just take it for that. You don't have to take offense to that, bro. Like, people can have differing opinions, it's fine. But here, oh my, it's a world war if something happens. Like, it's ridiculous. The next point I want to get into is the nature in the Netherlands. Oh my god, bro, I loved all of the natural beauty that the Netherlands had to offer. Of course, you're close to the seaside. There's tons of tulip fields, which I didn't get to see because it wasn't really tulip season when I was traveling there. How close you are to all that, I feel like 5 minutes out of Amsterdam, I'm already seeing farmland and things like that. That's not really something you get in the United States. If you're going to be in a city, usually you'll have to drive a decent amount just to get out into the city area. Like, it's just not that as easy as it is in the Netherlands. And you guys are also surrounded by all these canals. I mean, Netherlands is literally built on top of water. It's kind of an amazing engineering feat. Like, the fact that your guys' country hasn't just been washed underwater. Like, I read into that. It really is amazing. Making this possible, this country. But at the same time, that's why you guys have a housing crisis, because there's nowhere to put houses, bro. Like, it's such a small country. There's so much water. But I really did appreciate all the natural beauty that the Netherlands had to offer. The canals, you're just walking through city center and you see a canal coming through. There's someone going paddleboarding or whatever. There's people sitting on the side of the canal. It's like nice sunny afternoon. Like, that stuff, it really does feel like heaven. Like, you can't get better than that, especially in a city. Next thing we're gonna get into is the food. And I didn't say this, but it is the truth. A lot of people say that the Dutch food can be lackluster, or you guys don't have the best cuisine out of the world, which I don't agree with. And also, one mistake I really made when I was visiting Holland was not trying Indonesian food. I know you guys got really good Indonesian, and I just didn't try it. But yeah, the frikandel special and croquet, those were both really good fried foods. I will say I burned my mouth. Despite the warnings, everyone says don't bite in right away. What did I do? I bit in right away and burned the top of my mouth off. So one thing I really loved was the bruges. I say bruges like I had multiple, but I would have had multiple. That stuff was good. Like, really good quality bread, good quality meats. Like, you can just tell. And we don't have that type of stuff. I mean, I've reacted to a video on this channel about why United States bread is so garbage. Like, our bread is meant to be on a shelf for over a week. It's not real bread. It's made in a laboratory. But the bread that I was getting off the side of the street, you can tell it was baked fresh. All of their ingredients are fresh. And this is just cheap stuff too. This is not like I have to go to some supermarket to get organic farm fresh food. Like, no, this is off the side of the street. And that Dutch standard, that quality, like The standard of quality, even the baseline, is so high. I was thinking that way not just when it comes to food, but also when it comes to quality of life. I thought that everyone was so happy. There was something tangible in the air about how people were feeling. You can just get that, you know? You can look at people, see how they're holding themselves. Do they look deflated? Do they look beat down? Do they look stressed? No. People look so happy, bro. Like, people look like they didn't have a care in the world. And obviously that's a bit of an exaggeration, but seriously, guys, like, I could really feel it, and it had a profound effect on me during my visit. How happy and content people were with life. I felt like the Dutch really took their time to enjoy the little things in life, appreciate the small things, like maybe just sitting at a canal in the afternoon, taking a break, slowing it down. And that's what you guys are really good at, is enjoying life and not getting too sucked into all this other stuff like work and the news and everything like that. I know you guys got a lot going on too, especially being around all these other countries, but I just felt people were so stress-free. Of course, there's always going to be stress, but that was something that struck a chord with me, and I'm never going to forget how happy I was when I was in Holland. Just straight up. All right, guys, the next stuff we're going to get into is more about the partying culture, alcohol, and things like that. So the first thing I have to say about alcohol is it was very cheap. Alcohol in the Netherlands was stupid cheap. Like, you can get a bottle of wine for €3 easily, which is not possible in the United States. If you want to get a bottle of wine for that cheap, it's going to be like the lowest possible quality wine, like, and it might not even be that cheap. So that immediately was a huge shock. Like, how is alcohol this cheap, you know? And it's because you guys are so close to all these other countries. Like, there is so much wine coming from France. There was so much beer. I tried some Dutch beer. It was pretty good, honestly. I liked it. But Belgian beer, like, you guys are so close to all these other countries. So it makes it very good for trade, and especially when it comes to alcohol. I know I'm thinking of trade only in that one way, but priorities, guys. What can I say? Something also interesting about the drinking is, why can't I drink in public, bro? Why in Holland am I not allowed to drink in public? Okay, yes, maybe you guys have an amendment. You can drink on terraces or whatever. But, bro, tell me, I can go to a beer garden and then just you're sitting out on the street in their little garden or whatever, and that's okay to drink because that's basically in public. But I buy a beer from the grocery store and I go out on the street and I'm not allowed to drink that. Like, that was something I felt weird because no one else was doing it. So when I did drink in public, I was doing it in kind of hidden areas where I couldn't really do it freely, you know? Cross the border into Germany and I could just run around the street with a bottle. So that's something I found really weird. How come in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, you can go into a shop and basically get any drug possible and just get off your mind on that? But you take a sip of alcohol out of a bottle in public, and that's not okay. Doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry. And I know, listen, guys, I'm holding you to a really high standard because in the United States, you can't do any of this stuff, like, whatsoever. It's out of the question. But here in Holland, I was just like, why can't I drink in public, bro? The Germans have got it. What's wrong with you? You guys need to learn from them. So if someone could explain to me that in the comments, like, how come you can smoke a joint in public but you can't drink a beer? What? And then that also goes into my next thing, like the whole drugs and weed and stuff. I made a bunch of mistakes in my vlogs. I said I was going to coffee shops when in reality I was going to cafe. So that was pretty funny hearing what you guys had to say in the comments about that. But yeah, there were a lot of these coffee shops or whatever everywhere in Netherlands. Like, and people were smoking marijuana everywhere in Netherlands. Like, I feel like no matter where I went, it was always there to some degree. You know, that's interesting. Currently in the United States, we're on the road to legalization. There's still some states that haven't legalized it and some that have. I don't believe it's federally legal yet. So it's just interesting seeing the way the world is moving with that. I know Netherlands has been like a hub for that for the longest, but just across the border in Germany, I think they just legalized it in April of this year. So things are changing a lot and at a rapid pace. So it's crazy. My last thing I want to talk about is just about Dutch people in general. I think that I really, really like the way that Dutch people are. Like, all the Dutch people I talked to, they were super friendly, and the biggest thing I recognize in all of them is open mind. Very open-minded people, willing to engage in a conversation, willing to help out, and just good people in my opinion. I think the Dutch are really good people, and they get crap for being direct, or someone steps in the bike lane and that's how you get a Dutch person mad. Do not step in their way in the bike lane. But as long as you don't do that, and you shouldn't really be doing that anyways, but as long as you don't do that, like, they are some of the nicest people. They'll always be willing to help you out, give you directions, have a conversation. So I couldn't be happier with my visit to the Netherlands, and this will not be the last time I come over there. Like, this country left a lasting impression on me. I was only there for a week. I tried to see as much as possible. Went to a music festival in Netherlands, which was crazy as well. So make sure you guys watch that video. I had an amazing time, guys. So I really appreciate you all watching the vlogs. I definitely plan on doing some more Netherlands reactions on this channel. So for those of you who are subscribed, you're going to be getting some content. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, guys, I hope you all are doing well and have had a good summer. We're now into fall, so it's been some time since I visited the Netherlands. I've had some time to collect my thoughts, and this is just a video I wanted to put out here to kind of summarize what were some of the biggest shocks I had on this trip. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button, consider hitting that subscribe button, and with that being said, I will see you all in the next one. Peace.